So the FBI failed to take key steps that could have prepared law enforcement for the January 6th riot at the Capitol. That's what, or was one of the findings that came out in this new report from the Justice Department's Inspector General today. Also, the report confirms no undercover FBI agents were in the crowd at the Capitol, so that undercuts this claim that's been out there that agents were helping to provoke the violence on that day. Let's get some perspective from Stuart Kaplan. Stuart is a former FBI agent, he's a defense attorney as well. He joins the show on many of these cases we cover, but this, involves the FBI directly. Let's take the first point I can put up from the findings on the misstep, okay? And then we'll talk about the second point on undercover agents. The FBI did not take a step that could have helped the FBI and its law enforcement partners with their preparations in advance of January 6th. Specifically, the FBI did not canvass its field offices in advance of January 6, 2021. So they could have got intelligence, essentially, right, Stuart, but didn't do it. What did you make of that when you heard it? How much did that surprise you, or did it?
Well, let me put it in context, because I think, look, I've been critical of my former agency, but in this particular case, I don't think they should be the fall guy. The Department of Homeland Security solely has the authority to designate a national special security event. That is an NSSE event. And as a matter of fact, it wasn't until this very year that a presidential inauguration was considered a special security event. So given the climate back in 2021 in January, on January 6th, even had the FBI canvassed all of their field offices and provided updated intelligence information across the board to the Capitol Police or other federal or state or local law enforcement, the Secret Service, had this event been designated that special event, the Secret Service then would have been the lead agency to coordinate the security and the perimeter and how interagencies would have mobilized. And my problem is that it really is the Department of Homeland Security that woefully failed short in having the venue secured. So even if we assume that the FBI made some missteps with sharing the information or canvassing their field offices, the bottom line is the government was woefully unprepared to secure the venue. And that really is what led to the riots and what happened that we all saw played out on January 6th of 2021.
All right, what about this second point on undercover agents? So anybody who's followed the various conspiracy theories that are out there about January 6th, this is something that's been out there for some time. But in the report today, they say we found no evidence in the materials we reviewed or the testimony we received showing or suggesting that the FBI had undercover employees in the various protest crowds or at the Capitol on January 6th. Should this put, well, I think I'll say it, this should put to bed, in my view, that theory that's been out there, but will it? I don't know if it will. If people believe that, they might continue to believe it. What do you think?
Well, this is certainly my field of expertise. I was very involved in the Group 1 undercover operations with my tenure at the FBI, and I can tell you with respect to, there is no doubt, and I've always been steadfast, the FBI did not authorize undercover agents to infiltrate and participate in the January 6th Capitol riots. And that's a fact that's been known since day one. There's a lot of policy considerations with respect to why the FBI would have not authorized that. Now, if you go on and read this report, it does talk about confidential human sources.
Yes.
There are always the potential that confidential human sources were there because of their own agenda. And it just coincidentally was that they also were confidential human sources. But I can tell you that the FBI did not deploy intentionally confidential human sources for the intelligence gathering. Now, had this been designated a special security event, I would imagine that part of the deployment of assets and resources potentially would have been confidential human sources to give real-time intelligence back to the command.
Interesting, but it wasn't to the first point you were making. Very good explanation, given all your years of expertise. Thank you, Stuart.
My pleasure always.
Stuart Kaplan. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.